All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is hour one. John Schaefer, Sammy Long. I am in Phoenix. Sammy is back in our San Diego Sports 760 studios, and we'll be together for the next hour. I'll be with you until 4 p.m., and then Jonathan Rifkin's going to come in from 4 to 6 as we get you ready for tonight. San Diego State, again, on the road, taking on Grand Canyon without Magoon Guath. So looking forward to tonight. Big test for the Aztecs, a lot to get into. And Sammy, looking forward to having you hang out for the next hour or so. So thanks for doing it, man.
Thank you for having me, dude. How's the weather out there in Phoenix? Is it still nice right now?
We spent some time out here. It's honestly, I've been here twice this winter because San Diego State played Arizona in December and the weather was perfect. And then back here today, I got here this morning and it's 70 degrees. You know, it almost feels like San Diego. Now here's the catch, as you know. I don't think Phoenix is always 70 and sunny.
No,
I feel
it is
like
not.
It's sunny a lot, but I feel like it's 117 half the time. So it's a good place to visit if you're visiting in January as opposed to, let's say, July.
There's like I lived out there for a summer, the worst time of year, and there's a real thing out there. I forget what they call it, but it's like Phoenix Rage, where there's like people, it's so hot outside in July and August that it's just like people, like you can see it on the roads. People are like cutting everyone off. It is why you pay the freight to live in San Diego.
100%. I mean, you see so many Arizona license plates in San Diego, really year round, but specifically in the summer. And there's a reason why. This is 120 degrees and, you know, it's 77 in the summer in Southern California and in San Diego. So, yeah, I'm in Phoenix, got here this morning, and we're going to touch on the Aztecs. I mean, we can start there because I heard you guys touching on that at the end of the show. San Diego State, like you said, opened as a slim favorite. Now they're a slim underdog. I don't know how much that has to do with Magoon Guath, like if that's all Guath dependent or if it's just better dependent. You know, you just like all you have to do, Sammy, is look at the first page of the GCU game notes. They're 40-3 in their last 43 home games. 40-3. Like San Diego State's an elite home team, and they win at, you know, a 88 to 90% clip at home under Brian Dutcher. 40-3 is even better than that. That's a 90+% winning percentage over the last 3 years for the Lopes. They have a good team. They have NIL. They play in this pretty intimidating arena. I was just there for a first time earlier this afternoon. It seats like 6,000 or 7,000, but they fill every single seat, and like half of the arena is going to be students for GCU. So this has the makings of a very tough game. You don't have Magoon Guath. You're on the road. You're taking on a team that's 40-3 in its last 43 home games. They beat San Diego State when the Aztecs went to the Sweet 16 a couple of years ago in this building. So this is a significant test for an Aztec team that is 7-0 in the Mountain West, but trying to keep that alive here tonight. We'll see if they can do that or not.
Well, this game, we were talking yesterday. I mean, you kind of brought up for an at-large bid, you're probably looking at 16-4 in Mountain West play. And this kind of starts the test. They had a tough road test in Nevada, but you're going to have a tough road test in New Mexico, tough road test in Utah State. I know they've just dropped 2 straight games now, but it really starts with Grand Canyon tonight. For everything you just pointed out, extremely tough environment. The program's really kind of come on the map in the last 10 years. They've had a little bit of success in March Madness at times, and it's a really big environment. Again, we've seen the Aztecs kind of play their best ball when they've been on the road, and they've kind of not been a massive home favorite. Now, got into it yesterday. The Aztecs have certainly lived on the edge. I mean, the Boise State game could have gone a different way. The Nevada game, the New Mexico game, all fortunately went in favor of the Aztecs. So I'm curious tonight. The one thing, obviously, it's a bummer that Magoon's not there. That's a big catalyst for the Aztecs and certainly them on the road. But the one thing I could look at is they played most of that game against New Mexico without Magoon Guath because he got hurt in the first 2 minutes of the game. So are they able to kind of, build on that momentum heading into tonight? Hopefully they don't turn the ball over like they do in the second half, but the Aztecs certainly have the capability to go get a big win in Arizona.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, I think people that are, let's just say, Aztec fans, right? You're not covering the team as a member of the media. Let's just say you're a fan and you're, keep an eye on the team and you're going to games, you're watching games. You're like, well, Magoon hasn't been as impactful this year as he was last year. That's what you're thinking from a fan's perspective. And I think that's really selling his impact entirely too short. And there's a couple of reasons why I say that. Well, one of which we know he's been coming back from injury and now he's been dealing with his hip. But him being out there, just solely being out there just impacts the game in so many ways. Like just his defensive presence He prevents shots from being taken because everyone's aware of his wingspan. Just his ability to rebound, his ability to block shots. And then offensively, he's gifted. We've seen that over parts of the last 2 years. Like, he all of a sudden, on like 9 shot attempts, will score 20 points or more. He's done it against Fresno State a couple of times. He's a gifted player. We haven't seen the best of him this year because of his health. I think not having Magoon Guath, can it be overcome? Absolutely. In the short term, and we'll see how long they're without him. Is it a game? Is it 2? Is it 3? Is it 4? Who knows? Who knows how long they'll be without Magoon Guath? So I think in the short term, sure. I mean, they have a deep team. They have a veteran team. I think it can be overcome, but I wouldn't want to sell Magoon Guath's importance short, because I think for San Diego State to reach its ceiling, you need Magoon Guath and you need him fully healthy. And they're not going to have him obviously tonight. We don't know if they're going to have him moving forward against UNLV or not. So to me, it's a significant loss because I've seen what he can mean, whether it was last year or this year. And I know some of the minutes are down and some of the stats are down, but I'm telling you, him just being out there impacts a basketball game, and that'll be sorely missed here tonight.
Well, and I think you to that end, and not to sell Magoon Guath short, because obviously he's a phenomenal player. He has definitely been a catalyst for why Miles Heide, I think, has been playing much better ball recently, is when there is so much attention that the opposing teams are facing with Magoon Guath. They're throwing so much at Magoon Guath, trying to make others beat him. It's a Pharaoh Compton to Miles Heide credit. I think the last couple of weeks, certainly in Mountain West Conference play, they've kind of stepped up and been able to take advantage of some matchups down low. And when the Aztecs have struggled this year, now it was very accentuated because you're playing one of the best backcourts or front courts in the country. In Michigan, Baylor's got a really good front court. Arizona is just stacked, throughout. But can the Aztecs take advantage? When they haven't played great, it's been because the front court kind of sold them. And when they have played great, it's because the front court has been absolutely dominant. And we know about the athleticism that the guards and the wing players bring for San Diego State. So really, to your end, it puts a lot more pressure on Miles Heide and Pharaoh Compton tonight. But as of the last few weeks, Heidi's been playing a lot better. So he's probably got to be the X factor tonight.
Yeah, and as you touched on a little bit there, how I kind of speculated maybe you need to go something like 16-4 to reach the NCAA tournament as an at-large team. I mean, I have no idea. It's a moving target, because you could go 17-3 and be on the outside looking in, or you could go 16-4 and be in, because it's contingent on the metrics of the teams that you play. It's contingent on other at-large resumes around the country, how other teams are playing. So there's so many factors. I mean, ultimately, it comes down to a committee that makes these decisions. I just know that I think coming out of the non-quote-unquote power leagues this year specifically, and I would include the Big East in that conversation, but when you get beyond the Big East and you get outside of those 5 leagues, Mount West is probably the best league in the country outside of those 5 leagues. Even with that being said, it's not going to be easy to get 2 or 3 teams to the NCAA tournament. I think it's very probable, or it's very possible, that they'll get 2 teams to the NCAA tournament. They could get 3, but there's smaller margins. You know what I mean? Like last night, use that as a perfect example. Utah State started their year 15-1. They came here Saturday to Grand Canyon. They lost by 10. All right, no shame in that. Grand Canyon's 40-3 in their last 43 home games. Their metrics are good enough. Yes, Utah State was ranked, but you can overcome a road loss. Well, they get home last night. They play UNLV in Logan, and they lose by 10 to UNLV. And all of a sudden, they went from firmly in the field at 15-1 overall to honestly, they're on the bubble. I mean, their resume is slightly better than San Diego State's. Their metrics are slightly better than the Aztecs, but they're 15-3, and they've lost consecutive games to Grand Canyon and UNLV. And guess what? The Aztecs' next 2 games are against Grand Canyon and UNLV, a couple of teams that have some momentum, that are beginning to believe, that have knocked off a team of the caliber of Utah State over the last week. So I guess my point is, and we touched on this a little bit yesterday, Sammy, is like, it's all in front of them. They can do it, but it's also finicky because you have so little margin that people almost expect you to win all these games, even though I don't think it's very realistic to win all these games.
Right. It puts even more pressure on GCU tonight, because you were kind of looking at it before Saturday when I was doing pregame. I was talking to you. You kind of looked at, okay, Utah State was going to be that team where you were going to get your quote marquee win. And to the Aztecs' credit, they can only play who's in front of them, and they've been dominant so far in Mountain West Conference play. But you do feel like they have to probably go a little bit above and beyond, because the Mountain West doesn't have that, 3, 4, 5 teams like it has the last couple of years that you looked at as in the tournament or strictly on the bubble. So you can kind of, afford maybe a loss you weren't looking for because you can always just get it back with the level of competition. That was the unfortunate part about the Players Era tournament, is that those were some real resume building possible wins that could have given you a little leeway in Mountain West Conference play. Unfortunately, outside of Oregon, it obviously didn't go the Aztecs' way. But the Aztecs play their game tonight. I'm curious to see if they go more. I'm assuming they're going to go more small ball with no Magoon Guath, and who can really step up on the wing. The biggest catalyst for me recently, though, is the fact that Miles Bird looks like he's taken on a totally different offensive score, like a pure scorer. Instead of trying to be a 3-and-D player, he's becoming a pure scorer. Him and BJ Davis and Reese Dixon Waters certainly got to carry the team if Magoon is going to be out for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, it has the, and I agree with you. I think Miles Bird's been terrific. I think the Aztecs can absolutely win this game even without Magoon Guath. I think it's going to be a really good game. I would be surprised if it wasn't. I'd be surprised if GCU won going away. I'd be probably surprised if San Diego State won going away. So, again, late start, 9 o'clock Mountain, which is a story as well, 8 o'clock Pacific. And the reason it's a story is San Diego State then plays Saturday in Vegas. And they'll do that on national TV at 1 o'clock Pacific. So, very quick turnarounds, not a lot of lead times. Yes, San Diego State 7-0. Yes, you look around the Mountain West and teams are taking on water, including Utah State with multiple conference losses. But it's not really about, for me, well, you got some wiggle room because now other teams in the league have 2 losses and you have none. Making the NCAA tournament has nothing to do with, winning the regular season in the Mountain West. If that makes, you want to win the regular season title, but you don't want to give up a game just because you have a game to play with, if that makes sense. Like the NCAA tournament selection committee is not going to sit there and be like, well, San Diego State ended up winning the Mountain West. They were in a 4-way tie at 14-6. I'd much prefer to go 17-3 in the league and finish in second place to a team that goes 18-2 in the league. So you can't worry about Utah State or Boise State struggles or New Mexico. All you got to worry about is yourself. And I think tonight is one of those 50-50 coin flip games. There have been a couple of them. At Nevada, they won that game. Boise at home, they won that game. New Mexico at home, they won that game. You think about how they've played in coin flip games here recently, they've been on the right side. Can they continue to do that, especially in a tough environment without one of their best players in Magoon Guath, and we will find out, Sammy, coming up later tonight. But that's why, again, that's why we like college basketball. This is the time of year where, it's not the agony and ecstasy of March like you're going to get in the NCAA tournament, but these games are really meaningful for programs like San Diego State, Utah State, GCU around the Mountain West.
Do you think those comebacks, obviously that you just said it, the Aztecs have come out on top in all 3 of those really tight games. Do you think that's more about the Mountain West is just very decent to good and everyone's kind of not distancing himself from each other? Or do you think it's the Aztecs' fault why they're letting these teams back in these games and they really are just kind of losing focus when they're that much more talented?
It's a great question. It's a good question. I think the Mountain West is a very good league. I think the top of the league is very comparable with San Diego State, Utah State, and New Mexico. I don't know if there's any team in there that's going to separate and have top 15 metrics in the country, but you might have 3 teams that are among the 30 or 40 best teams in America. Certainly San Diego State's had some opportunities to step on throats, so to speak. And while they haven't necessarily done that, they've still been able to win the games, which at the end of the day matters. We'll see if in the second half of the year, if they can, not just create separation, but hold on to that separation, build a 15-point lead in the second half at home and end up winning by 20 plus points against a good team. That could be the difference for San Diego State, whether they get into the tournament or not, or from a seeding perspective for the Aztecs as well. I want to switch gears on the other side. We're going to be with you until me and Sammy until 3. I'll be with you until 4. And then Jonathan Rifkin is going to have the final 2 hours here on San Diego Sports 760 from 4 to 6. I want to switch gears to the Padres because Baseball America today released their top 100 prospects in the sport. And there weren't many Padres on that list. And what does that mean for San Diego's desire to acquire starting pitching via the trade market this offseason before spring training? We'll discuss on the other side. Plus, if you missed Will Brinson yesterday, our NFL Insider, you'll hear that in the 3 o'clock hour. Tons to get to. Stay with us on San Diego Sports 760. We're live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, John Schaefer, Sammy Long with you for the next 45 minutes. Sammy will be with me for the next 45 minutes. I'll be with you until 4 o'clock. J-Riff from 4 to 6 as I get ready for San Diego State and Grand Canyon tonight in Phoenix. Massive game in the Mountain West. Brent, we do have Aztec tickets for Colorado State a week from tonight to give away. Is that correct? All right, so we'll give those away. We have a pair of tickets for San Diego State's next home game. This is against Colorado State. We'll give those away in the 3 o'clock hour. So we'll do that coming up. And we also want to remind you that San Diego Sports 760 has 13 chances to win $1,000 every weekday. It's the Bonus Bucks giveaway every hour, 6 a.m. through 6 p.m. Listen for the keyword, then enter it at sportssd.com. Next chance to win $1,000 coming up at the top of the hour here on San Diego Sports 760. Sammy, did you see this list? So Baseball America is like considered the leader in the prospect, world when it comes to baseball. It's subjective, as we know. You could be the top prospect in an organization, never make the major leagues. You could be the number 19 prospect in an organization and be a Hall of Famer. But they put out their annual top 100 prospect list for the entire sport. How many Padres farmhands are on this list? Did you see this?
I saw this. So Salas is the catcher is the only one on the top 100.
Correct. So think about that. And again, is this a full indictment on the organization? No, but it's a snapshot in time. And it speaks to, well, they've had to delve deep into their system to get players at the major league level, right? Like the Mason Miller trade, like the Freddy Peralta trade. They give up some major league talent, obviously, in that trade. There's other examples as well over the last few years. Obviously, acquiring Juan Soto, you're going back a few years. Yes, they parted ways with him as well and had a return. But in this snapshot in time, when we're talking about, hey, the Padres need to add starting pitching, can they go to the well of their system to potentially acquire frontline starting pitching? I mean, the short answer is it seems like it's going to be pretty tricky because you got 30 teams in the major leagues. And of the top 100 players, according to Baseball America, in terms of prospects in the minor leagues, only one of them is a Padres farmhand, and that's Ethan Salas, who all of a sudden is just hanging on to prospect status. He's 90th on that list. And I'm telling you right now, he's about a month away of poor play, like ineffectiveness, injury, where you look up in 2026 and it's May 15th. And if he's only played in 9 games and he's hitting a $180, he's no longer a top 100 prospect in Major League Baseball. So, it's, again, do you have to have the best system, Sammy, to win a World Series? No, but a system can help you in a variety of ways. I mean, you can use your system from within and develop it. You can trade away parts and get major league talent. And it just feels like right now with all the Freddy Peralta talk and maybe these, back end starters that we've talked about as well that are free agents, that's a different conversation. But if you're going to trade for someone that doesn't make a lot of money, I don't know if the Padres truly have the trade chips to get that frontline pitching that Padres fans are clamoring for.
Well, that's the hard part with this team is we know that they don't spend a lot of money. They spend a lot of money. Their money is tied up in guys where you can't really move the contracts. People don't want the Bogarts contract. People don't really want the Machado contract given his age and playoff production. And then this was when we're praising AJ Preller for going all in at the trade deadline last year, and people heading into that trade deadline thought that the Padres didn't have actually a huge system to deal, and to their credit, they did. Obviously, DeVries was the prime piece that was shipped off in that. It is hard because I'm not going to sit here and have revisionist history and kill Preller, because I think Preller, that was really his only move. They're not going to spend money. Unless you're going to trade a mega star in Fernando Tatis Jr., which I don't think too many people would be happy about, and that would signal an entire reboot of the franchise. I don't know how many guys are that valuable on the team with tradable contracts. And to your point, you're trying to get starting pitching. So the name that was thrown out there forever was Nick Pivetta. Well, trading Nick Pivetta to go get another starting pitcher that just puts you in the exact same spot you were in before, because you lost you Rob Paul to pay Peter. It is such a shame when we've talked about it now. The Dodgers, the Mets, the Yankees can all spend money with ease. The one thing you're hoping that a team like the Padres can do is have a great farm system. So you can go out there and throw a bunch of prospects at a trade. And right now, him being number 90, falling from 31 to 90, I know a lot of that was due to a back injury, but you don't have a competitive offer right now with a lot of these teams with basically half the league in on Freddy Peralta. Unless they're going to go spend money, it just doesn't look like help is on its way in terms of a big a big addition.
And here's the thing, like it's not that I'm upset that Ethan Salas all of a sudden is the 90th ranked prospect in baseball. It's where it hurts you is in two ways. I think in an ideal world, you hold on to Ethan Salas because he's the player that you thought he was going to be when you signed him. Like the dream scenario whenever you acquire talent is to reap the reward of that talent. Like the dream scenario isn't acquiring a lot of talent and trading it off for you know other talent. Yes, sometimes you're further along as an organization, so it makes sense to trade an 18-year-old for a 28-year-old that can help you win at the major leagues. The dream scenario is you have a collection of players in your system that you can develop and they can help you win at the major league level. There's so many advantages to that, financially, competitively, control wise. So I'd love to see Ethan Salas, hit, so to speak, and click for the Padres. My concern is I don't know if it's going to happen. I have no idea. And the more time he gets removed from, being this can't miss 16-year-old to what he's become, which is a guy that's been injury riddled, has never really hit at all in the minor leagues, that's concerning. Now, could he be part of a package if he's not going to help you to help, improve your major league team? Yeah, I think he could be. But does he have the same value that he had 12 or 24 months ago? And I don't really know the answer to that. My guess would be he doesn't. And this isn't solely about Freddy Peralta, and it's not solely about Ethan Salas. But if you're a Padres fan out there saying, hey, I really think we should go out and get Freddy Peralta, yeah, and I really think I should go out there and lift, 225 pounds or bench it.
Yeah.
Like I agree, Freddy Peralta would help the Padres. I just don't know how you would go about acquiring a guy that makes 30-something starts as a 2.7 ERA if the headliner in that deal is Ethan Salas, who's done absolutely nothing in his minor league career. That's kind of my overall point.
Right. And to the point you just made is you're selling him at an all-time low. If you're going to sell a prospect, at least DeVries, when you got rid of him, even though probably in a few years it's gonna be hard seeing him put on the Athletics uniform and probably going to be killing it, but you got Mason Miller. You got arguably the best closer in baseball. So at least with that, you can kind of stomach losing that because you sold DeVries playing at an elite level at all-time high, selling Salas for pennies on the dollar. And then also, what does that tell your farm system? What does that tell your minor league system where, listen, everyone knows it's a business, but when every top guy is getting dealt and you're really starting from scratch and you go from 2 years ago, people are really excited about DeVries and Salas potential cornerstones after your Tatis, your Machado, your guys that have kind of been the cornerstones for the last 10 years are on their way out or kind of the next wave of Padre baseball. Where is the future going from here? I'm with you. I don't think trading Salas for just some pitcher, obviously Peralta would be fantastic, but I don't know that just shipping him out of town is the right move.
All right, so we can discuss that over the course of the day as well. I do want to switch gears to the NFL, and obviously we're down to the Final Four. But the fallout in Buffalo, and I don't know if you guys talked about this earlier today or not, but where Buffalo may turn for its next head coach. So that's fascinating as it plays out in real time. We'll discuss on the other side. We're getting you ready for San Diego State and Grand Canyon tonight at 8. We've got tickets to give away to see the Aztecs take on Colorado State a week from tonight. If you missed Will Brinson yesterday on the show, you'll hear that coming up at 3:30. Stay with us on San Diego Sports 760. We're live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by eBay. The Aztecs are on the road tonight to take on Grand Canyon. Our pregame coverage begins at 7 o'clock. John will have the tip after 8. And in baseball news, the Yankees and outfielder Cody Bellinger agreed to a 5-year, $162 million deal today, according to ESPN. The deal includes opt-outs after the second and seasons, a $20 million signing bonus, and a full no-trade clause. And in quick NFL news, 49ers GM John Lynch said wide receiver Brandon Ayuk has officially played his last snap for the 49ers, and he will not be returning to the team. Imagine what you can find on eBay, like a rare hologram trading card that you've become totally obsessed with, shiny like the design of your handbag of your dreams. eBay has it. They even have the perfect parts that will fit your car. Millions of finds, each with a story. eBay.
All right, John Schaefer, Sammy Long, Aztec basketball tickets for a week from tonight. We'll give those away in the 3 o'clock hour. If you miss Will Brinson, our NFL insider, you'll hear that conversation coming up at 3:30 as well. Jonathan Rifkin will be in at 4 as I get ready for San Diego State and Grand Canyon. Coming up tonight, 8 o'clock Pacific. Our pregame coverage will begin at 7 p.m. So I've been running all over the place today, Sammy, as we've talked about, traveling to Phoenix. And I was over at Shoot Around and raced to get everything set up here this afternoon. So I'm not sure if you touched on this or not. Have you discussed what Rex Ryan had to say about the Bills head coaching vacancy?
I did not see what Rex Ryan said, but we talked about what Pagula said earlier on today.
Okay, well, Rex Ryan, and I think he did on ESPN, he said that the only guy for the Bills to hire is Bill Belichick. So the only guy for the Bills to hire would be Bill Belichick, which of course makes literally no sense. Would it have made sense, 7 years ago? Yeah, maybe that would have made a lot more sense. But I think we're at the point, and correct me if I'm wrong, where the Bill Belichick experiment or the lure, it's been lost for me. I don't know if it's just everything that's going on in the periphery away from the football field, if it's the last few years in New England in general without Tom Brady where they had no success. If it's then you couple it with what played out in North Carolina, which is a bunch of nothing really over the last year. To me, listen, amazing career, one of the greatest head coaches in the history of the National Football League, inarguable. But that's now in the past. I just don't think you can rekindle that at this point if you're an organization. And I feel like if you're Buffalo, where you only have a certain amount of time where Josh Allen is truly in his prime, and you certainly have time. You have the next 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years. You don't want to get this wrong. And hiring Bill Belichick to me is almost at this point, it's somewhat laughable.
It would be an abject disaster. I mean, I don't even know. I know Rex Ryan coached against Bill Belichick and got after him all those years when he was coaching with the Jets. But what do the Bills need? They need to draft and develop talent. Brandon Beane gets promoted. He's only drafted 2 Pro Bowlers his entire career as the GM of the Buffalo Bills. That was Dawson Knox and James Cook. This is where they're at. So you're going to go get a guy who, yes, used to be great, has pedigree, won all the rings with Brady, but in New England couldn't make Mac Jones work. Mac Jones obviously went to San Francisco and was fantastic with Kyle Shanahan. And the big problem with Bill Belichick was he was taking over GM duties. He couldn't draft any receiver to put around Mac Jones. The kind of allure of, it was one thing when you had Brady and Edelman and Moss and Gronk, and you had these pillars of an organization. Then you could take shots on your Jamie Collins, your outside linebackers, your guys in the draft. And when Belichick only got to focus on defense, he's an amazing defensive coordinator, maybe the greatest defensive mind we've ever seen in the game of football. But when all evidence is that Josh Allen needs help and needs skill weapons on the outside, why you would go hire an old defensive head coach to do that? And then also knowing that Bill Belichick has a certain amount of time left in this game, it certainly passed him by in college. He was awful with North Carolina. To then you're going to be needing a new head coach in 2-3 years from now, 3-4 years from now, when Josh Allen will be 32, 33. That just makes no sense to me. If I'm Buffalo, I have to go with an offensive mind. Probably bringing Brian Daboll back would be a good option, but I'm surprised Rex Ryan threw that out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's you can't. Sometimes you just need to move on, and you can't remember someone for their heyday. That doesn't necessarily mean that's who they are. To me, there's a big difference between Bill Belichick today and Andy Reid when he got to Kansas City. Like Andy Reid when he got to Kansas City was 55, okay, in the prime of his coaching career. Bill Belichick is 73. So when Andy Reid got to Kansas City, he was in it for the long haul. It was not a 1 to 3 year fix, like maybe what's going to play out, for example, and I have no problem with it. Like the University of Michigan, they have a scandal. They hire a veteran head coach in Kyle Whittingham. Now, he's not going to be their 10-year solution, but he might get them through this period, and maybe they'll be better off for it over the next 2, 3, 4 years. Buffalo's in a spot where if you're looking for like a second act head coach, Bill Belichick is not that guy, because like he's well past his second act. And I think you need like new modern thinking to pair with Josh Allen. Like you've got arguably one of the game's most unique talents as your signal caller. It just doesn't make any sense to go with not that Bill Belichick is a retread, because it is Bill Belichick, but everyone he's going to hire is going to be a retread. He's not going to go with some young, bright offensive mind as his offensive coordinator. So listen, I think it's a huge hire for Buffalo because I do believe that they need to find a way to get to a Super Bowl in the next 2 to 4 years, let's say, with Josh Allen. So I think it's a huge hire, but you can get these hires wrong, and it happens all the time in the NFL. And I don't know what real options they're going to have. What did Terry Pagula have to say about the hire? He said that the person won't solely be judged on whether they win a Super Bowl or not, right?
Well, and he basically said that, so McDermott, they decided to fire him after the Denver game in the post-game locker room. And then the media was kind of pressing him, like, why? How do you justify Brandon Beane not only keeping his job, but getting a promotion? Like, what has Brandon Beane done, the GM of the Buffalo Bills, to get a thing? And then he went back to the Keon Coleman draft pick a few years ago, which has kind of widely been known as a bust, from Florida State. There were some guys taken after him. Even Xavier Worthy for the Chiefs was taken after him that they didn't go get. And he basically made an excuse for Brandon Beane, saying that the coaching staff wanted Keon Coleman, and Beane basically was like, I'm just going to go with whatever my coaches say, almost as an excuse to why he hasn't been able to hit on a receiver one time in his entire career there with the Bills outside of Stephon Diggs. So it's just, I don't know what Buffalo's doing. It feels like you're going backwards while every team's getting younger, going with young mindsets. I mean, look at other teams in the AFC. Pittsburgh and Baltimore, and you argue whether those were good decisions, are both going with younger head coaches. They haven't filled the positions yet, but you moved off legacy coaches in Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh. You move off Sean McDermott, who has been a perennially good coach. And if the thought is to go with some, former Bill Belichick, former legend in the game, I think you're just, to your point, moving backwards versus trying to get younger and finding a way to topple Kansas City and now whoever goes to Super Bowl between New England and Denver.
These are just they're so critically important. It's like you're going back a generation, but like the Chargers fire Marty Schottenheimer thinking, hey, we're going to do better, right? And I'm not to compare, obviously, Sean McDermott. It's a different era. The whole thing is different.
But it kind of is. They both had great regular seasons and didn't win
it's like you had regular, right? And you were expecting as an organization, like, we need to take the next step, and then they didn't, and they really haven't. It's right for the next 20 years. And they had quarterbacks, right? The Chargers have had quarterbacks in their history, whether it was a Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers, Justin Herbert. Yet you've been waiting, if you're a Chargers fan, for 30 years. For the next step, or for 20 years, certainly since Marty in San Diego. I just wonder, like, are the Bills going to be waiting another generation? Like, are they going to get it right for Josh Allen with this hire, or is it going to fall? Is it going to fall on deaf ears? Or are they going to fall flat on their face with this hire? Because this is the most. Forget all the other hires. All the other hires matter because it's the NFL and there's 32 teams. There's no more important hire than what Buffalo is going to do. It's an organization that expects to be playing for Super Bowls with one of the best quarterbacks in the history of the sport. Like, there's nothing more important than the hire the Buffalo is about to make.
And I'm curious what happened. So the Baltimore and Buffalo job are very comparable because you have MVP quarterbacks, superstar quarterbacks. You're not building, mentoring a young QB like most of these other jobs, or trying to find a quarterback. And the GM DeCosta and the owner of the Ravens have already kind of said, they asked about, will Lamar Jackson have a lot of input on who the next head coach is? And he kind of said, we're going to listen, but at the end of the day, it's our decision. And kind of scoffed at that question that Lamar would even have that much of a say in it. I'm curious what Buffalo does, because Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, you would think, are at the level where they're having major input. And you think, considering that Josh Allen has probably not had the supporting cast he's always needed to get over the hump, you would be asking him that question. And I would be extremely shocked if Josh Allen didn't want a young offensive mind to kind of grow with versus, to your point, going back a whole generation. Those two, we never had two jobs come open with superstar quarterbacks in the same cycle. And the fact that Harbaugh is obviously got fired from Baltimore, already with the Giants, I'm curious who kind of rises to be the top contender for those jobs. With Mike McDaniel going to be the Chargers or the OC.
All right, we can discuss on the other side which is the better job between Buffalo and Baltimore. I hadn't fully considered it, but I mean, you put Baltimore into that equation, maybe it is as good of a job as Buffalo. Plus, coming up at 3:30, Will Brinson, our NFL insider. If you missed our conversation with Will, coming out of divisional weekend, looking ahead to championship weekend, you'll hear that coming up at 3:30. And we have Aztec basketball tickets to give away for a week from tonight. San Diego State, Colorado State, back at Viejas Arena. We'll give those tickets away in the 3 o'clock hour. Stay with us on San Diego Sports 760. We're live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, John Schaefer, Sammy Long. Sammy's hanging out for another 10 minutes or so. I'm with you until 4. We've got Aztec basketball tickets to give away in the 3 o'clock hour. Then J-Riff, Jonathan Rifkin, will be in from 4 to 6 this afternoon on San Diego Sports 760. I'm in Phoenix as the Aztecs get ready for Grand Canyon. Big game in the Mountain West coming up tonight at 8 with pregame coverage at 7 right here on San Diego Sports 760. How much of a discussion point or talking point is it a better job, Buffalo or Baltimore, for you? To me, I would just go Buffalo with Josh Allen over Baltimore with Lamar Jackson, because I feel like Lamar Jackson just struggled so mightily in the postseason, although Josh Allen has had his struggles as well. Do you think that is a fair comparison or not between Buffalo and Baltimore moving forward?
I think it is. I'm actually going to go the other way. I would go Baltimore just because, and people might go, you're crazy. Why would you go away from Josh Allen? Josh Allen is the only thing. Josh Allen and James Cook are the only things appealing about the Buffalo job to me. And obviously it's very appealing. You're getting an MVP superstar player, a guy who he feels close to breaking through but can't reach it. But I would also argue that the Ravens are a much better organization, have won much more, have drafted way better. All of last season, you got Matabike, the D tackle, Wiggins, the corner. They had so many, Kyle Hamilton, the star safety, gets hurt all throughout the season. The defense was completely decimated. And I also think if we're talking about Mahomes, Burrow, and Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson has probably had the least amount of weapons to work with of any of those players. Like Mahomes has had Kelsey and Tyreek for a large portion of his career. He had Stephon Diggs and Kincaid with Josh Allen. And then Burrow's got 2 superstar receivers and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Lamar Jackson's best receiver he's ever had is Zay Flowers. And that's saying something. It's not a shot to Zay Flowers. He's not a superstar guy. Rashad Bateman and a lot of those guys never panned out. So if I'm a head coach and I get the Ravens ownership group, DeCosta, who's a great GM, and I get to kind of mold Lamar Jackson back fully healthy, a lot of returning pieces over Buffalo, who I don't know. I don't trust that Brandon Beane's going to field a good roster enough for Josh Allen to compete at a high level.
Yeah, listen, I've always loved Lamar Jackson is such an amazing player, and it's never translated even like one iota in a postseason, right? Where Josh Allen has certainly had his postseason moments, and I don't know if we could say the same for Lamar Jackson. Also, you kind of wonder as these players age, is Lamar Jackson like the same player? Like, how old is he right now?
That's fair. I believe he's 28. So,
yeah, I'm looking right now. He's 29. He just turned 29 January 7th, right? So he's 29 all of next season. The guy's unbelievable, right? He's multiple-time MVP award winner, incredible arm, incredible legs, right? So he's been unbelievable. But it's like if you didn't do it in the first half of your career, is it going to get harder or easier in the second half? And someone that's built like him, that's among the best running threats in the history of the sport out of that position, if not the best running quarterback in the history of the sport, that's not going to be a part of his DNA in his 30s, right? Certainly not, 3 or 5 years from now, maybe for the next couple of years, but not 5 years from now. So that to me is part of the conversation. So it's like, who are you betting on? I think that the NFL is such a quarterback-driven league that everything else, everything matters. Don't get me wrong. I'd rather have the better defense, and I'd rather have the better coach and coordinators and playmakers around me. But at the end of the day, it's like, what is getting these teams by and large to Super Bowls? A lot of it is quarterback play. It's kind of driven by that. So that's just where I don't know. Just Josh Allen does everything. Now his legs matter too, but just because of his physicality. I just wonder if Lamar Jackson is going to have more success as he ages, where I think Josh Allen can continue to have the same amount of success as he ages.
That's a great point, and it's very fair because people have always wondered, will Lamar Jackson, will it run out? Because if he does lose his speed, we know he doesn't have a huge arm. He's definitely improved accuracy as a passer. Yeah. But when you look at the kind of surrounding division, the Patriots aren't going anywhere, and they could be playing in a Super Bowl here on, if they win on Sunday against Denver, and they're widely expected to with Bo Nix going down. They're not going anywhere. Now you have the Jets in the division. Miami just got halfly from the Packers, but if I'm the Ravens, you looked at that division as always tough, the AFC North. Well, Stefanski got fired in Cleveland. Tomlin's fired in Pittsburgh, both looking for rebuilds. And as Zach Taylor's the only guy I got to compete with, and I know Joe Burrow's in that division, but what has Zach Taylor shown to put a defense around Joe Burrow? It feels like a lot more of the same. Great offense, going to put up a lot of numbers, but the defense is probably going to keep them from being atop the AFC. I would have never said that a year ago. I feel like the AFC North is much more manageable to win going forward versus competing with Vrabel and May year in and year out. Not saying that they can't do it, but you might have a better path to division titles in Baltimore.
This is a very early look because we don't have coaches in spots like Buffalo and Baltimore, and we haven't even hit the offseason. But if you were to snap your fingers and look to next season, who do you think is going to be favored to win the AFC in 2026 with everything that we know right now?
That's a great question. I was thinking about this, so both the teams playing this weekend are tough to gauge because the Patriots literally have had, and this is a fact, the easiest schedule in 26 years to reach their point. So they're going to be playing a first place schedule next year. Things are probably going to get harder. Denver's lived on the edge, winning all these close games. I think, and people are going to call me, I think my Chiefs are going to be back in the picture, having a top 10 pick. I think that they'll be up there. I certainly think Baltimore and Buffalo will be in the conversation when you have a quarterback. I will say the Chargers actually getting the tackles back, and I know that sounds crazy because they never win in the postseason, and there's always that kind of Charger curse. Them getting Mike McDaniel, I actually think is a home run hire. I think that's fantastic to really blend with Herbert in the offense. I'm still putting my Chiefs atop the division, but I do think the Chargers will be a pretty big threat next year, getting a lot of their offense back.
There's just so many good teams in the AFC. There's so many good quarterbacks. We've talked about Allen and Jackson, obviously Mahomes. The situation with New England right now with Drake May. We'll see about Bo Nix. I mean, it's a bit of a gauntlet. And to your point of the Patriots, not only did they have that easy schedule, they now have to go through a backup quarterback to get to a Super Bowl, potentially. I mean, that's kind of crazy. That's the path right now to the Super Bowl is to go through a backup quarterback because of the injury to Bo Nix. But that's how close they are right now to getting to the Super Bowl. Hey, Sammy, appreciate you, man. Thanks for swinging by for the hour. I'm trying to think, what day of the week is it?
It's Wednesday. I know it's weird with the Monday off.
I'm trying. So hopefully, I'm back tomorrow, right? Yes, I'm back tomorrow in studio. So if you can hang out, we'll take you.
Would absolutely love to. You're the best, and good luck calling the game tonight. Go Aztecs.
I appreciate you, my friend. More on the Aztecs on the other side. We have Aztec tickets to give away for a week from tonight against Colorado State at Viejas Arena. Plus, the hot stove is warming in baseball, but it hasn't really included the Padres. We've got the latest on the other side there as well. And if you miss Will Brinson, our NFL insider, you'll hear a conversation coming up at 3:30. Stay with us on San Diego Sports 760.
This report is sponsored by eBay. San Diego State is on the road tonight to take on Grand Canyon. Our pregame coverage with Fletch will start at 7 o'clock. John will have the tip a little after 8. In baseball news, the Yankees and Cody Bellinger agreed to a 5-year, $162 million deal today, according to ESPN. The deal includes opt-outs after the second and third season and a $20 million signing bonus with a full no-trade clause. And in NFL notes, 49ers GM John Lynch said that wide receiver Brandon Ayuk has played his final snap for the 49ers and will not return to the team next season. Imagine what you can find on eBay, like a rare hologram trading card that you've become totally obsessed with, shiny like that designer handbag of your dreams. eBay has it. They even have perfect parts that will fit your car. Millions of finds, each with a story. eBay.
All right, hour 2 here. John Schaefer with you from Phoenix. San Diego Sports 760, Aztecs and Grand Canyon coming up tonight at 8. Our pregame coverage at 7. Jonathan Rifkin will take over at the top of the hour at 4 p.m. We'll give away Aztec tickets for a week from tonight against Colorado State back at Viejas Arena. We'll give those away coming up between now and 3:30. And you're going to hear from Will Brinson, our NFL insider, coming up at 3:30. I want to get into this Cody Bellinger deal and the Padres offseason as well momentarily. But so, okay, Brent, let me take you through the day, right? I get up early, didn't miss my flight, fly to Phoenix, got here, and then I was looking at the clock, and I'm like, oh, San Diego State is doing its shoot-around, like practicing at the arena in like 20 minutes. So I went to the arena, then I came back, and I only had like 20 or 30 minutes to get ready for the show, set up all the equipment. Anyway, it's a long way of me saying I'm starving. It's 4 o'clock here. It's 3 o'clock at home, as you know. But it's 4 o'clock here in the Mountain Time Zone of Phoenix. I've eaten like nothing. I went to the lobby like 8 minutes before the show, and I'm like, maybe there's something. And I got a yogurt and a granola bar, because of course I did, like a Kind bar or something. So now I'm on the what I notice is every time I'm on the road is like every San Diego State men's basketball player is constantly ordering like food. Like the food is just like showing up at the hotel, whatever that's called, DoorDash, right?
Yeah, that's one of them.
So like, and I'm like, well, that's kind of smart. Like you can, like, you know me, like I don't do that. I don't think I've ever used DoorDash. Like if I want to go get food, I'll just go get food. I'll walk down the street. I'll get in my car at home. But I've never once at my place in San Diego ordered food to my place ever in any capacity. So anyway, I just opened up the DoorDash app and I'm like, should I order food? This would be the first time I've ever done it. I have like a promo code or something. I don't know, like, $10 off or something. So like
Promo code old.
What's that?
Your promo code is old.
You're old and you have no clue. You're not a human being. So like, here's my thing though, is the first time I use it, should I do it in Phoenix with these random restaurants that I've never heard of? And are they going to bring it? Where are they going to bring it? Is it coming to the lobby? Is it coming to my room? What's happening?
They'll do whatever you want. They'll either.
What do you mean they'll do whatever they want?
If you want them to, they'll just take it to the lobby and then you can go down there and get it. Or they'll check in with the lobby and then they'll bring it up to your floor and take it to your room.
It's kind of tempting. But then what if they like ring the doorbell or knock on the door during the show? I mean, I don't care. That's fine.
It's the risk you're going to have to take.
It's the risk. So do you think, but let me ask you this, like you've done this in life, like every other human being. Is it risky? Like if I order this right now and it says in the app, like I'm looking right now, it'll say like Panera Bread, 20 minutes, this salad place, 30 minutes, this pizza joint, 30 minutes. Will it actually come in that time frame? Like if I order it, is it going to get here before I leave for the game in 3 hours?
Yeah, it should.
It should?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to consider
if anything, a lot of those delivery times, they add on time to kind of cover their own ass. So like the pizza will probably only take 20 minutes for it to get there, but they'll tell you it's going to take like 30 to 45 minutes. So then if it's a little late, you won't get mad.
All right. Well, then at the next break coming up in like 10 minutes, I think I'm going to order something. Although then I feel, here's the other thing I wanted to ask you about real quick. So there's a Panera Bread literally across the street. But I'm on the air.
Oh,
but
wait till
do
4.
You think I should just go when I'm off the air?
You don't think 2 hours will be enough time at Panera Bread?
Well,
You're not
no,
rich.
No, it's not that. It's not the time. It is a little bit of the time. It's like I could save time if they just brought it over to me.
Well, see, and this is the conundrum I always end up in. How lazy are you? Are you lazy?
Not that, but that's
yeah,
not
no,
the
that's
thing.
totally what it is. Are you lazy enough that you're willing to pay $10 to not walk across the street? Because my thing is, I have like a pizza place that's 2 blocks down the road, but I'm too lazy to get in my car and go pick up the pizza to where I will pay an extra $10 in fees to
That is
not
hilarious.
do it.
Yeah, I can't believe that you would do that. No, the only reason I would do it is like I'm hungry, I'm on the air. I would like it to be here truly the second I'm off the air, like in 50 minutes. But you know what? I think I'm going to err on the side of what you just said. Why don't I just, the second I'm done with the show, race across the street, pick up Panera Bread, eat it, come back, get ready for the game. Do you like that strategy?
That's probably the safe strategy. Yeah.
That's the strategy I'm going to go with. All right. A couple of things here. As again, we started the show talking about the Aztecs. We'll get more into the Aztecs, this game against Grand Canyon coming up. We've also touched on the fact that the Padres have one player currently in the top 100 prospects list at Baseball America, which isn't the end all be all. I want to make sure not to lead people down this path. I'm not going on this whole soliloquy like, what have the Padres done? I can't believe what AJ Preller's got to the system. No, that's not my point. I think oftentimes when they've gone to the system, they've done it to benefit their major league team. I have celebrated that. I'm 100% in favor of doing that. But I do wonder at what point has the well run dry. And unfortunately, where the Padres are, they're not in a position, not that this would make any sense for them, but they're not in the position where they can overcome not having a lot of depth in their system or high ceiling players by just spending money. That's not where they are. They're not the New York Yankees. They're not the LA Dodgers. You can't just agree on a 5-year, $160 million deal with Cody Bellinger to address a need. Now, that's not necessarily their need right now in the outfield, but I think you understand my point. And my point is the true need right now with the Padres, and it's not just me saying this. I think AJ Preller has said this at points of the offseason. You've seen others that cover the game. They need another starting pitcher. They might need more than that, truthfully. And they're kind of hand-tied in their ability to add frontline starting pitching. If you want to add, a number 4, number 5 veteran starter, potentially with some upside, I think you can do it. We threw out some names earlier in the week. Could you do it for, 8, 10, 12, $14 million per year on the cheap, so to speak? Yeah, of course you could. Can you go out and acquire, frontline starting pitching for more than that? No, probably not, because they've already spent a lot of their money. And it doesn't appear as if they want to take on 20, 30, $40 million in salary from this point moving forward. And that's why we've been talking about he's not controllable, actually, a pitcher that's under contract through 2026, one of the best pitchers in the National League, in Freddy Peralta. And the only reason we're talking about him is he's been linked. The Athletic has linked Peralta to the Padres, along with other teams, another handful of teams, including the Dodgers. Surprise. They've been linked to Peralta as well. And Peralta makes a lot of sense for the Padres, but you have to look at it through the lens of, does it make any sense for the Brewers? And the reason I wanted to go back down that path today, like we did yesterday, is I saw the Baseball America list today. And I'm like, that kind of reminds me that trying to acquire a pitcher of the caliber of Freddy Peralta, to me, is really challenging. I'm not saying it's impossible. And there's other players you could turn to. There's probably some younger players in your system, at the A-ball level with high ceilings that aren't even yet in the top 100 rankings, that might be in the rankings at some point in the next 12 months or 24 months. Maybe you could, entertain them in a package. Maybe Ethan Salas makes sense. Maybe he doesn't, by the way. Maybe you're selling low. Maybe you want him to be developed and you want to keep him around. So I could argue that as well. But when it comes to Freddy Peralta, of course, the Padres would love to have a pitcher of his caliber. I think the issue they're going to run into is they probably don't have the prospect capital that some of these teams have, including the LA Dodgers. And that was always going to be potentially a downfall of some of the maneuvering of AJ Preller over the last 3 to 5 years, is that he's routinely gone to his system to acquire talent. And it's worked out. They've won at the major league level. I'd much prefer to win at the major league level than have the number 1 system in baseball and not win at the major league level. Like, at the end of the day, you got to win at the major league level. And they've been able to do that by and large over the last 5 or 6 years. Hasn't been perfect, but by and large, they've been able to do it. I guess my question moving forward, I'm not doubting AJ Preller's ability to continue to do that. He'll be creative. He's always going to have a way at a trade deadline to add a piece or two that is necessary to win. I don't know if that piece is going to be Juan Soto or Mason Miller, but he'll be able to add if his team warrants an addition. But I guess to what extent? Are you going to always be able to add players of the caliber like when he made the trades for Blake Snell and Yu Darvish and Joe Musgrove? Or is it going to, or like we're talking about right now, are you going to be able to add a player of the caliber of Freddy Peralta? I have my doubts. He's only under control for one more year, and I just don't know if your system is going to be able to produce that potentially for you. So, that's the question right now. I think that they've obviously spent at the major league level. Because of some of the acquisitions at the most recent trade deadline, they don't have the richest farm system in the sport right now. Understandable. I don't know where it technically would rank. It wouldn't be ranked highly. I know that. And can you go back to it? Can you go back and potentially get more out of it, that could reap the rewards of someone like Freddy Peralta? I don't know. Like, I'm cautious with that type of thinking. I'm not an expert when it comes to the Padres minor league system or systems across Major League Baseball right now. At one point, I probably was when I worked in the minor leagues, and we've had people from Mad Friars on, and we've had others that cover the sport and cover it through that lens, through the minor league lens, like a Kyle Glazer, who we could have on again at some point, potentially this week or next. But just at first blush, I don't know if this system right now can produce a player of the ilk of Freddy Peralta. That's just my point. Now, do they have to have Freddy Peralta to win 90 games? Do they have to have Freddy Peralta to make a run in the postseason? I don't know if they have to, but does it make it easier? Yeah, he made 30-something starts last year at a 2.7. Does he put you in a better position to win once you're in the postseason? Yes, he absolutely does. And the Padres, they got some names in that rotation. I like it from an on-paper perspective. Pivetta, King, Musgrove, even Randy Vasquez, who gave them meaningful innings a year ago. I think the glass half empty side of that conversation is that King made 15 starts last year and Musgrove didn't pitch last year because of Tommy John. So you need more. And when I say you need more, I'd much prefer to go, towards the top of your rotation as opposed to, Justin Verlander, who's 43 years old. It's almost like a flyer type deal. You're hopeful you can get, 25 plus starts out of him. You're hopeful he's able to give you meaningful innings in October, where someone like Freddy Peralta, it's not really hoping, it's knowing that if he's healthy, he's going to be at the top of your rotation in 2026. All right, on the other side, let's give away some Aztec basketball tickets for a week from tonight against Colorado State. Coming up in 15 minutes, you're going to hear from Will Brinson, our NFL insider, coming out of divisional round weekend into championship weekend. Here until 4, J-Riff takes over at 4. I think I've decided not to do DoorDash right now. I think when I get off the air in 45 minutes, I'm going to go across the street to Panera Bread. But I'll have an update for you on the other side. Here until 4, J-Riff takes over then. Aztec basketball tonight at 8 on San Diego Sports 760. All right, Will Brinson, if you missed our conversation, we'll have that for you coming up in about 10 minutes. Aztecs back tonight on the road, taking on Grand Canyon. We're going to give away tickets for San Diego State's next home game. That's against Colorado State a week from tonight at 7:30. We'll give those away between now and 4:30, or excuse me, 3:30. So in the next 10 minutes, we'll give those away. But tonight, San Diego State at Grand Canyon. Pregame coverage at 7. I've got the tip for you coming up at 8 on your home for the Aztecs. San Diego Sports 760. I'll tell you what, Brent, having been in this arena earlier today that San Diego State's playing in tonight, that GCU plays in, Grand Canyon, it's a really unique place. And we've touched on this over the course of the last day or so. Like, Grand Canyon wins at a ridiculously high clip at home. And you're thinking to yourself, well, why is that? Grand Canyon, this isn't exactly, Duke, or in the West, San Diego State, Gonzaga, or Arizona, right? Well, they're more of an up-and-comer. They're like a nouveau program. They only were full-fledged Division I in 2017, so they reclassified from Division II, and now they've made the NCAA tournament, I think, 4 of the last 5 years in 3 straight years. But they built this little building on their campus, and I was there just a couple of hours ago for the first time, and it's like Viejas light. Like, Viejas is 12,000 seats, and can host NCAA tournament games and just feels like a college basketball venue. But it's got I don't even know how many rows on the way from the floor all the way up to the concourse at Viejas Arena. I'm making it up 30 something rows. It goes all the way up. Well, GCU is half of that. And I think technically it seats 7,000, which is more than half of Viejas, but it's not a lot more than half of Viejas. When I was in there earlier today, it's so intimate. And I think what happens is, and the players touched on this yesterday during media availability, some of these players have played there before, like Miles Bird, when the Aztecs were here a couple of years ago and lost. What happens is, unlike most college basketball buildings, the Aztecs will be on the floor an hour and 15 minutes out, stretching and warming up. And then all of a sudden, an hour out, they're going to let the students in. I think they call them the Havocs here. And half of the building, if not more, is going to be filled with students. So out of this 6,000 or 7,000 seat building that's on their campus, they're going to have 3,000 plus students flood in at the 60-minute mark. And it becomes this party, basically, in their small arena. And I don't know if it's intimidating, but it's certainly going to be loud. Something San Diego State deals with. I mean, they've got a great home court advantage at Viejas Arena. They play in tough environments like Utah State, like New Mexico. But this is I don't even know how to describe it. I think it's going to be unique into itself. For someone like me, I haven't been here for a game before. I know San Diego State's played here twice previously. I mean, consider this. The Aztecs, in their Division I history, are 1-3 against Grand Canyon. Overall, they're 1-4. That goes back to a different era in 1980 for Grand Canyon. But they're 0-2, San Diego State, in this building. They lost a game at Viejas Arena to Grand Canyon within the last 10 or so years, and they did beat them at home a few years ago. But you're playing them twice this year. Once here, once at Viejas, and I'm telling you right now, this is one of those games that, if you get out of here with a win, this is a statement win. This is probably the most impressive road win the Aztecs have had this year. They've already won at Nevada. They've won at Wyoming. Those environments aren't going to compare. We were at Nevada over the semester break. It was a fine crowd. Nevada was playing very good basketball at the time. They probably filled 70% of their seats. It got loud occasionally, but not crazy loud. Then there was Wyoming. It's almost like the opposite effect. There's nobody there. They were having a good year at the time as well, but there's 3,000 people maybe in the building, so it's almost cavernous, and you got to create your own energy. There was a game at San Jose State. There's nobody there. It's like playing in a high school gym. My high school gym is better than San Jose State's current gym. And then there's this, which is going to be raucous and I think quasi-intimidating. It's certainly going to be loud. And some of the San Diego State players have gone through it before. Here's the other thing. Grand Canyon just has a good team. I don't think they've had the same year as San Diego State, but they've got good enough metrics. They've invested heavily in the roster. They have, I don't know if they have unlimited resources, but they have serious resources as a private school. They've transitioned from their old league, the WAC, to the Mountain West. And when these leagues split, San Diego State going to the new Pac-12 and the Mountain West, doing what it's doing moving forward, you're going to have Grand Canyon potentially towards the top of that league with programs like New Mexico as well. So a long way of me saying that I'm looking forward to tonight. I think there's a level of caution as well because you're playing a good team on the road in a really tough environment where they're 40-3. Grand Canyon is in their last 43 home games. And oh, by the way, San Diego State doesn't have Magoon Guath due to a hip injury that's been bothering him here recently. So you're without, arguably one of your best players and one of the better stretch fours when healthy in the country. So we'll see is the point. The point spread would suggest a very close game. San Diego State opened as a slim favorite, something like a 1.5 point favorite. They have now moved to a 1.5 point underdog. And I don't know if that's to do with just betting movement or if it has to do with Magoon Guath or what the reasons are at play. I mean, Magoon Guath makes sense. A player that shoots well from the floor, is a disruptor defensively, is one of the top shot blockers in the country. Like, it would make sense to me that a line would move a couple of points with San Diego State being without Magoon Guath. And now the question is, who's going to step up for the Aztecs? I mean, you've got capable forwards and centers and Pharaoh Compton and Miles Heide and Jeremiah Oden and Tay Simmons. And we've talked about the depth a lot with this team. Some people have argued that the rotation is too deep, that they're playing too many, and you'd never want to shorten your rotation at the expense of a player like Magoon Guath. I mean, you just wouldn't. But tonight is going to be an example where they're going to shorten it down because you're not going to have Guath tonight. They've been playing 11. Does that mean they get down to 10? Yeah, they probably are playing 10. Could it get shorter than that? Somewhere down like a number like 9, potentially. Yeah, I guess that's a possibility. But yeah, we're going to see the shortened rotation with Magoon Guath out. You're going to look for players, not just a player, but you're going to look for players to step up. We'll see if San Diego State can remain unbeaten in the Mountain West Conference with a huge road win. It would be a huge win if the Aztecs win tonight at Grand Canyon. All right, we promised you tickets for a week from tonight. San Diego State's next home game at Viejas Arena. This will be against Colorado State a week from tonight at 7:30. And caller 7, you have 2 free tickets. All you need to do is call right now, 877-767-4760. Call right now, caller 7. You have 2 free tickets to see the Aztecs take on Colorado State a week from tonight at Viejas Arena at 7:30. The number to call is 877-767-4760. All right, Will Brinson, our NFL insider, on the other side. If you missed him earlier this week, you're going to hear that conversation with Will Brinson on the other side. Stay with us on San Diego Sports 760.
This report is sponsored by eBay. The Aztecs are on the road tonight to take on Grand Canyon. Our pregame coverage starts at 7 o'clock with Fletch. John will have the tip after 8. In baseball news, the Yankees and Cody Bellinger agreed to a 5-year, $162 million deal, according to ESPN. The deal includes opt-outs after the second and third seasons, a $20 million signing bonus, and a full no-trade clause. A couple NFL notes. 49ers GM John Lynch said that wide receiver Brandon Ayuk has played his last snap for the 49ers and will not return next season. And the Kansas City Chiefs are being reunited with Eric Bieniemy. They have hired him to be the new offensive coordinator. Bieniemy was the Bears running back coach this season. Imagine what you can find on eBay, like a rare hologram trading card that you've become totally obsessed with, shiny like the designer handbag of your dreams. eBay has it. They even have the perfect parts that will fit your car. Millions of finds, each with a story. eBay.
All right, John Schaefer with you. J-Riff is coming up at 4 p.m. As Brent just told you, I am in Phoenix, San Diego State Grand Canyon tonight at 8 with pregame coverage beginning at 7 p.m. Now, if you missed Will Brinson, our NFL insider, he was with us yesterday, and I want to say we start the conversation just with the craziness of the ending for the Rams and the Bears. I think that's where we started it with Will Brinson, our NFL insider, his thoughts on the insanity that played out in Chicago this weekend.
Yeah, it was, as an ardent Rams supporter, it was obviously terrifying because this is exactly what you're scared of with the Bears, and that I think Caleb Williams, even if we see what happens one year and we assume, all right, this is just the future of this team. And, like we saw, it's not true, right? I mean, Jaden Daniels in Washington, obviously, take a big step back this year. But I do think with the combination of Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams, you have to at least be scared if the Bears continue, scared of the Bears, I guess, if the Bears continue to develop guys on both sides of the ball, because Caleb Williams is showing, that sort of Mahomesian quality that people ascribed to him before the draft, and that, it's not always going to, be this perfectly executed offensive game plan where the Bears take over games and just salt things away in the second half. But when it's not, this is why Mahomes won a bunch of games. They have a coach who can call plays to get them back in position to try to win the game, and then a quarterback who can just make insane things happen. He did it so much this year that it's like, that can't be your baseline for winning games, going out there and you creating magic every week. But when you have that belief and ability in the quarterback to do it, it does give you like a stronger sense of not giving up in the fourth quarter, of fighting for every possession and believing that your quarterback is like the Iceman. He can show up and find a way to win. So, yeah, I mean, that was always the fear with the Bears, is that they let them hang around and they will make you pay.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Will Brinson with us right now, senior NFL writer, CBS Sports. By the way, when Caleb Williams is going backwards, I'm like, where are you going? Like in the fourth, like you're running in the wrong direction, dude. And to make that throw off the back foot. And again, it's like we talked about this before. I'm trying to remember. Like, there's other examples in sports where you have these remarkable moments. I go back to, there's a baseball example. Rajai Davis with the Indians homered before the Cubs would win the World Series. It would be remembered so differently if the Indians won that World Series. Or like, I go back to Freddie Mitchell. I'm aging Freddie Mitchell with the Eagles, 4th and 26, but then they lost the next week.
Yeah.
So it's like you'd remember it differently, but it was an incredible play. To switch gears to Buffalo and Denver, we can get into obviously the impact of the injury to Bo Nix. But any part of you surprised with the Sean McDermott news, or was it expected if they didn't reach the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I think if they had, I think the problem is they, we talked about it for like the last couple of weeks, really like the last like month plus, where no Mahomes, no Lamar Jackson, no Joe Burrow in the AFC side of things. So you've got a bunch of newcomers. You got a lot of first-time quarterbacks. Obviously, Bo Nix had been there twice, but the path was in theory wide open for the Bills to go win it if Josh Allen became Superman. And I think falling short of that, clearly ownership had just decided, okay, we have this guy we drafted in 2018 who is an otherworldly human being. Like he's not really even mortal, right?
Yep.
The things he can do on the football field are so different. And it's like, should we have a coach who's a really good coach who wins a lot of games, who has a very high floor, and even if it's just, part of the playoff thing where you can't break through, because Andy Reid didn't break through until he got Mahomes and he got into Kansas City. It's a little unfair, but at the same time, it's like if you own the Bills and you can't make the Super Bowl even this year when you don't have all those guys like in the playoffs, you have to kind of think, like, should we move on and try to find somebody who can elevate our ceiling? And I think that's what they're going to do, because if you're John Harbaugh, you're like, man, I kind of wish I'd waited a week, waited till Monday to pick a job, because if you take the job with Josh Allen, you just have to be competent, and he's going to get you to the playoffs. He's going to put you in a position where if you make the right decisions as a coach in the postseason, you have a really good chance of making a Super Bowl run. And it's immediately just one of the best jobs in football becoming open because Josh Allen is on the roster. So I guess I think you can always hire something worse. You can always get something worse, but you're going to bring in really attractive candidates because of that. It's just like, yeah, I get it, because it felt like Sean McDermott and sort of the way that he coached. Like, I think they're going to get an offensive back for sure, but just the way that unless they're going to get like Belichick and he brings in an OC or something, but like the way that he coached just kind of always tapped the upside a little bit, because he wanted to, he brings in Joe Brady, and they decided to just be a run-heavy team and let Josh Allen throw less. It just feels like the way that he coached maybe capped their upside a little bit.
That's good perspective. Will Brinson with us right now, San Diego Sports 760. Where are you in the NFL catch rule? And this comes up every 1 to 3 to 5 to 7 seasons. There's always going to be, it's a game literally of centimeters and inches, and the difference between winning and losing in this league is like one play. Do you feel like more clarification is necessary based on some of the stuff we saw this past weekend, or do you feel like it was ruled properly?
Yeah, I mean, I think they really need to get. The problem is they need to get everybody on the same page, and maybe that even means like full time. It's just that you have these officials who are ruling different things, and then the league is coming in from on high in New York and saying, nope, that was a catch, or no, that wasn't a catch. And I do think, just like as it has been in the past, the fans watching are thinking, okay, I know what a catch is. That's a catch, and then all of a sudden it's not a catch, and the interception in the Buffalo, Denver game is it's like just wild, because it's like it's not like once in a lifetime or anything like that. I mean, that's probably going to happen again. Maybe this coming week. Who knows? Right. But it's just like the guy kind of makes a catch and survives the ground, but then if it's not intercepted, that ball is coming loose, and I think that's sort of where the NFL ended up on. I do think they'll look at it a little bit, just because they made such a big deal out of this football move and surviving the ground and all those things, where it just created a little bit of confusion with not only the fans, but maybe more importantly, the referees who are refereeing all these different games. And it just becomes significantly more pronounced in the postseason. So wouldn't be surprised at all if the competition committee, which, by the way, Mike Tomlin out, John Harbaugh changing jobs. I don't know if that gets him off the competition committee or not, but Tomlin was a big voice on there. A little bit of change over there. So we could definitely see some addendums to the rule, at least this offseason.
How do you feel about what we're going to see this weekend? Obviously, Patriots, Broncos without Bo Nix, and Rams, Seahawks. Of course, the Seahawks coming off that beatdown of San Francisco. Can the Broncos manage their way through this at home, or is that extremely unlikely? I know they're a 5 or 6 point underdog at home, and then you have Seattle, not even a 3-point favorite at home against LA. What do you make of what we're going to see this Sunday?
So I think Denver is going to be better with City, as they call him, than people think. And okay. I mean, he's Sean Payton signed him as his first free agent when Sean Payton got to Denver. So he's just been his kind of quality backup that he sort of trusts in these spots if he needs him. He's similar. I mean, I think he and Bo Nix played together at Auburn, maybe. That's like how weird the NIL world is in college. But I think he can do enough of his legs And they're gonna go out there. They're gonna try to run the ball a bunch. They're gonna use this instead of flags. They're gonna have them, try to convert these third downs by throwing horizontally and Sean Payton scheming up on offense and then playing defense to win. And I think defense is good enough where they can give Drake Mason fits and hang around it if they can produce some offense. But if they don't slow down the Patriots offense early on, and then Stidham has to drop back a ton, they're in trouble. On the Rams side of things, the Seahawks, it kind of comes down to Sam Darnold, I guess, which is sort of like a No Bleep Sherlock exclusive. If he turns the ball over 4 times and has one of those games where we've sort of been expecting it, but then maybe we feel like we aren't expecting it lately, it's going to be tough for the Seahawks to win. Now, if he plays well and they can run the ball with Kenneth Walker, no Charbonnet, obviously, but they can slow down the Seahawks, the Rams offense, run the ball well, and Sam Darnold can hit some play action shots. That should be just a great game. It really should. Like that NFC Championship game should be just like out of this world good, because the last time we saw them with the shootout on Thursday night or whatever, and it was or maybe it was Monday night, whatever it was, but it was just an incredible game between these two teams. The Rams had control of it, and the Rams have given Sam Darnold fits. So I think the Rams find a way to win, but certainly the Seahawks should be favored. It all comes down to Darnold, I think. Does Darnold prevent himself from making giant mistakes? And if he does, then it's going to be a dogfight right down to the end.
That was the ridiculous game just a few weeks ago, right? In Seattle, Rams.
Yeah.
See, that game was one of the games of the year, right? Probably one of the top 3 games.
It was definitely a top 3 game. The first one was Darnold throws 4 picks, and the Seahawks still had like a 52, 55-yard field goal to win and missed. And then the next one was like just the insane flurry comeback where Rashid returns a punt, and then all hell breaks loose.
That's exactly right. Will, we are looking forward to it. We appreciate the insight. Let's catch up next week and discuss our matchup for the Super Bowl, which is crazy that we're at the Super Bowl.
I'm for it. I know. It's crazy. It's crazy that we're here. It's crazy.
Insane. Thanks, Will.
Bye, buddy. See you, man.
All right, our NFL Insider with us here on San Diego Sports 760, Will Brinson. We're with you until 4 p.m. Jonathan Rifkin will take over at that time. I'm in Phoenix. Aztecs are as well. San Diego State and Grand Canyon coming up tonight at 8. J-Riff from 4 to 6. Stay with us, much more on the other side right here on San Diego Sports 760. All right, final time for me from Phoenix, where San Diego State will play Grand Canyon tonight. You do have Jonathan Rifkin, J-Riff, hanging out with you for the next couple of hours until 6 p.m. on the other side, coming up at the top of the hour. And then at 7 p.m., our pregame coverage for San Diego State and Grand Canyon. Ben Fletcher has your pregame, and I'll have the tip coming up at 8 p.m. tonight from Phoenix, Arizona, Valley of the Sun, San Diego State, and Grand Canyon in the Mountain West. Now, do you know what tomorrow is, Brent?
Thursday.
Correct. That's all. No, the reason I bring it up is tomorrow is Truck Day for the San Diego Padres. So the truck will make its annual pilgrimage to Peoria tomorrow for the Padres. Say that a million times. And, you know, more of the attention begins to shift that way. I think the Padres will begin workouts. I forget what we said earlier in the week, like February 13th or February 15th. I mean, it's coming. Like I'm looking right now at this release. Thursday is Truck Day. And they're going to be bringing everything over on Thursday. And then, yeah, the team will begin working out again a couple of weeks after that. But the point is, it's kind of here, you know, and the point is, I don't think the Padres have yet done all the work that's necessary for their upcoming season, obviously, but we've been here so many times. I mean, I remember for the 4 years we did Jon Jim, every single offseason leading up to the season, we're like, oh my gosh, what are they going to do with, you know, they don't have a left fielder. Well, they go out and, you know, sign Jerks and Profar, or, you know, they don't have a starting pitcher. They go out and sign Nick Pivetta, or they make a trade, you know, for the Blake Snells and the Joe Musgroves over the years. So, yeah, I do think they need to complete this roster. I don't think it's as impossible as some make it out to be. I really don't. I don't think they're in some crazy hurry where it's like, oh my gosh, if they don't have a starting pitcher by February 1st, they're really behind the eight ball. I mean, no, I don't think so. I think there's enough there from within your system, and then with Pivetta, King, Musgrove, Vasquez, like you got something to work with. Now, I think you need to add to it because there's some question marks in there. But if you do add to it with another significant, you know, signing or trade that benefits your rotation, plus you got this bullpen that everyone considers one of the best in baseball. What are they going to do at first base? That still needs to be determined. What does first base and DH ultimately look like? What does their bench look like? But listen, it's been the very quiet offseason that we've talked about. We said that yesterday. Very few signings that are going to impact their major league roster. Again, the one player that came over from Korea that we touched on yesterday, Michael King, you know, that's big, but remember they had him a year ago, so it's not like you've really added anything. And if anything, he's going to have to prove that he's Michael King in 2026. And I think there's a little bit of a misconception where people are like, oh, not only do we have Michael King back, we got him on a long-term deal. This is terrific. No, he's on a one-year deal. It's a series of 3 one-year deals. He signed a 3-year contract, but he has opt-outs after years 1 and 2. So if he lives up to this contract and has 180 innings for the Padres in 2026, I think that's a little far-fetched because he didn't even throw 100 innings last year. But if he, returns to form like he looked in 2024 and he makes 30 starts and wins 16 games and has a 3.1 ERA, then he could probably opt out of that deal and get a bigger deal on the other side of it. If he doesn't do that, if it's somewhere between, let's say, 2024 and 2025, like 140 innings and 10 or 11 wins, and the ERA goes up a little bit, let's say to like 3.6 from 3.1, then maybe he opts back in for a second year. I don't know. We're all hoping that he's able to kind of outperform the contract. Truthfully, you want him to opt out if he can, because that means he had a good year. Like you want Michael King to lead the way. You want Nick Pivetta, who's got an opt out after this 2026 season, probably also to lead the way. Because what does it look like alternatively? Like if Pivetta takes a step back, if King doesn't look like the pitcher he looked like in 2024, if Musgrove struggles to return to form, and there's reasons to expect that. He's coming off Tommy John surgery. Like, where are you turning? You can't put this all on any one addition they still haven't yet made. I mean, you need Pivetta and you need King, and you're likely going to need Randy Vasquez, and to some extent you're going to need Joe Musgrove. So again, most of the pieces are here. Most of the core of your lineup is obviously here. It's not a completed lineup as of yet. Most of your rotation, I think, is here. They need more depth. to round it out. I think the bullpen's going to be very good, as it typically has been. I think the pitching in general should be good. I think since Ruben Abel has gotten here, the pitching has led the way for the Padres. The question now becomes, can you get back to a middle of the road offense? Because last year they weren't. Like, for whatever reason, you had Jackson Merrill in year 2, wasn't 100% healthy. You had Fernando Tatis Jr. He went 3 months at one point, hit 3 combined home runs over those 3 months. You had Manny Machado, same conversations we've had for years, where there were the highs and the lows. You have Xander Bogaerts, who's been injured and ineffective by and large, especially when you consider the contract. So, can you, again, not go from a 25th best offense in the sport to the 5th, but can you go from, 25th best offense in the sport to 14th? Something like that, to give you at least a puncher's chance should you make the postseason, of advancing in the postseason, because it's just the way they've tried to do it the last 2 postseasons, without power and, just dink and dunk and situational baseball and bunting runners over. We talked so much about that ad nauseum with Mike Schilt last year. I'm ready to move on from that. If anything, I hope the Craig Stammen era relies more on the bats in the lineup as opposed to the situational hitting that really didn't serve the Padres well, I thought, in the second half of 2025. But that's on the Padres lineup, honestly. Like, to some of that wasn't necessarily on Schilt. Like, the Padres lineup was not coming through consistently, so he did what he wanted to do, was rely more heavily on the pitching staff, and he wanted to win games 2-1 as opposed to 7-6. He wanted to get runners on, move them over, get them in, preserve 1 and 2 run leads, which, again, served them well the last 2 years, 93 wins and 90 wins. In 2026, can we rely a little more heavily on the lineup and have a little bit more breathing room and not have to play for a run in the first inning with a man at first base? I just hope that we can get to that in the second half of 2026 and beyond. So anyway, Truck Day is tomorrow for the Padres. The truck makes its way from San Diego to Peoria tomorrow for the Padres, and we're a couple of weeks away from the start of spring training, pitchers and catchers, and then spring training games. I think spring training games are probably a month away, if not less than a month away right now for the Padres. All right, so on the other side, Jonathan Rifkin has the final 2 hours of sports talk here on San Diego Sports 760. We've got a lot in store for you tonight as well. Ben Fletcher has pregame coverage as the Aztecs get ready for Grand Canyon tonight. Pregame coverage at 7. I'll have the tip-off for you at 8 p.m. Pacific for the Aztecs and the Lopes, the first of 2 regular season meetings. This is the only year that San Diego State and Grand Canyon intersect or overlap in the Mountain West. San Diego State going to the new Pac-12. Grand Canyon in year 1 of Mountain West play for the Lopes. This will be the only year that these two sides overlap. And again, there's a big game for both of these teams tonight. San Diego State looking to stay perfect in the Mountain West. Grand Canyon looking for another crucial home win. They beat Utah State on Saturday, a ranked Utah State team. Now trying to follow that up with a victory over the first place Aztecs here tonight in Phoenix. So I'm sure Jonathan Rifkin will have a lot more on the game on the other side, as he'll be with you until 6 p.m. And I'll be back with you for tip-off tonight from Phoenix for San Diego State and Grand Canyon. So on the other side, J-Riff until 6 p.m. and until tomorrow, actually until later on. I'm John Schaefer, and keep it here. This is San Diego Sports 760.